So let's take a look at the Iframe Pro widget. So we've installed it into our library in Muse, and when we click on it here we can just drag it onto the page. Let's take a look at the individual settings. So first of all, the Iframe Pro comes onto the page and it has a page already set up in it, and this is a page that we've set up to just show you that the iframe is working. So this is an iframe sample page, and we can see that currently we can drag the unit out into place here. We can change its size, and once it re-renders itself in Muse, we can see that it says here this is dummy web page content. Let's take a look at let's preview it in the browser. And we can see, sure enough, here is that that sample content running in the frame. Now, if let's move that back into place there. If we go through some of these settings, first off, we'll leave these for a minute, but let's look at these basic settings from here down. We'll come back to these parts, but let's take a look at this. We've got the frame ID, so we've called it my iframe. This could be anything. However, if you have no need to change it, then don't bother. This here is the important part. This is the URL to the page that you want to show within the iframe. And then, do we want a scroll bar or not? Now the difference, let's see what happens when we change this. So we're going to leave the URL that we want to show as the same, but let's switch this to yes. And then let's hit preview page in browser. And we can see now that because the page that is showing in the frame is actually bigger than the iframe itself, we have these scroll bars showing. However, when we had them set to no, they obviously didn't show. So let's switch those back off because we want that iframe to look like the page, so we're switching those scroll bars off. Now let's move on to these other settings here. These all work together. So you can see these two are grayed out. Those only become active when you switch this on. This is so that you can use 100% width for your iframe. So currently, if I set this to the edge of the page here, let's drag it out. Now when we get to this edge here, notice it says there on the little flyout there, it says 100% width. However, because this isn't a Muse built by Muse widget, it doesn't necessarily mean that will work the way we think it's going to. So we can see now that this is set to the top left, and although it looked like it was 100% in Muse, it actually isn't. So now what we're going to do is we're going to switch this on, and this is saying select to use 100% width options for iframe. So this changes the code that's within there. Then we're going to change it to 100%. So that's going to switch from the dimensions that we've dragged it out using in Muse, when we've grabbed the handles here and dragged it out. That's going to change that to 100%. And then we're going to change this one to the percentage as well. So we're going to change that. And notice now it looks exactly the same as it did before. However, it performs differently, because if we take a look at this page now, we can see that the iframe is now filling to 100% width of the page. So let's change this to some other content. Let's change this to http://www.musegrid.com. So this is now going to render in our content, which it does. Let's preview that in the browser. So we have our page in the browser here, and notice all of the responsive design that's built into MuseGrid now works within the iframe, and we have it set nicely, and it looks as if it's part of the page. We could, though, use a page within the Muse site itself. So if I select this now, and I'm going to create a new page, I'm just going to call this test. And on this page, I'm going to put just a just a rectangle so that we can see the content, and put it in this horrible green. And then in our iframe, we're going to change this here to test.html. So now this is going to be looking for a local page. So it's unable to generate this page at this point because it's not able to connect to the page that we've selected in Muse itself. So what we need to do now is preview in the browser. So if we preview this page in the browser, you can see currently it says page could not be found. Well, why is that? Well, because Muse is caching this page, but it's never opened that test.html, so it can't see that cached page. So what we need to do is we can either open this page up and preview it, or we can just go to preview site in browser. So once we do that, there we go. There's our iframe page being brought in. So just to make sure that that is the case, let's now open this page up. Let's grab this block. Let's put another one in here. And let's turn this to red. And we're going to hit preview this page in the browser. So we've previewed that page. But watch what happens now. When we hit reload here, we can see that it's now reloaded the changes into the iframe. So that's a fairly nasty example of how we could use the iframe, but it's very useful when you are using the full screen or the full width slider, and you can build a pseudo responsive slider by using this technique, and you'll find the link to the video in the comments below. So I hope that explains how to use the Iframe Pro widget in your Muse sites, and we look forward to seeing what you build with them, and thanks for watching.